What is going on, everybody? I am glad to be back, glad to be making another video. It's been 4 weeks since the last one, and that is not keeping up with my one video a week timeline. I'm trying to get working over here, but don't worry, we're going to get there eventually. Real quick shout out to everybody that has been watching the videos, all the new subscribers, everybody that's been following me on IG, leaving comments, and hitting me up just to let me know how the videos have been helping you. And I really appreciate that because it just lets me know that this stuff is working, it's getting out there, and the information is actually being put to use. So appreciate y'all. But yeah, let's get into the video. I'm finally back with part 2 of my branding blank series. Originally, it was just gonna be 1 and 2 parts. The first video, if you have not watched it, go and watch that video. That's when we're talking all about finding unique blanks that can help separate you from other people. So yeah, stop, go watch that video. This video is only for people that watch part 1, okay? So I'm gonna let y'all go do that. All right, now everybody that watched part 1, let's jump into it. We're going to be talking about different ways to brand blanks. Now, there are a lot of ways out there, but today we're going to be focusing on 3 of those ways, and we're going to be highlighting the strengths, the weaknesses, when to use one over the other, and just overall letting you know the different factors that play into using these different techniques and finding which one fits you best. So the 3 things we're going to cover today is screen printing, DTG, and embroidery. All right, to explain screen printing simply, I would just say to imagine a stencil made out of a silk screen. And when I say silk screen, kind of think about the mesh screen door that you might have on a house. So when you look at the mesh, there's going to be parts of it where things can pass through, in this case, ink, and then other parts where the ink won't go through. So when you drag the ink over the mesh, what's left on the other side is the graphic that you want to be there. And that's it in a nutshell. You could dive as deep into it as you want just so that you can have your own understanding when you're working with a screen printer. But the main thing I want to talk about is the strengths and weakness business-wise for you and what fits you. So a few positives of screen printing: it's really good for bigger bulk orders. So if you know that you're going to be ordering a lot of tees, hoodies, or whatever it is that you're printing on, big bulk order, screen print might be the way to go. On top of that, the print quality, as long as the person does it right, is going to last really long. Like if you ever seen vintage shirts in thrift stores or vintage anime tees, rock band tees, a lot of those were screen printed, and you may have noticed that the print is still strong after however long it's been washed, passed from owner to owner, and all kinds of things. So screen printing typically, if done right, will last super long. Another positive that not a lot of people think about is that screen print kind of has this classic streetwear feel to it. There's a certain texture when you touch it. There's a certain vibrancy to the colors. And if that's something you're looking for in your brand, screen print might be the way to go. Jumping into the weaknesses, earlier I told you that it's good for bulk orders. On the opposite end, it is not good for small orders. For one, you have to pay per color that's in the design. That's because each color that you have in your design, that's a different screen that they have to make, a different stencil like I was talking about, and they have to swap the colors each time that they're doing it. Now, the exception to that is if someone does CMYK printing, which is kind of like how your printer does it, where it takes black, cyan, magenta, yellow, and it uses those colors to make other colors. On top of having to pay per color or per screen, most of the time with screen printing, you're going to have higher minimum orders. So if you did want to sample, it's going to run you a pretty penny. I want to say that the lowest minimum I've seen for screen printing was about 12 pieces, and that can be a bigger commitment for someone just starting out. So take this information, think about it, look into it some more, and weigh it out. The second way to brand a blank that we're talking about is direct to garment. Direct to garment, or also known as DTG, is another form of printing. To put this one simply, the same way you'd use a printer at your house to print on paper, imagine a really big one of those that can run a t-shirt through it. So that's direct to garment. And the positives of direct-to-garment essentially are the opposites of the weaknesses of screen printing. So for one, you don't get charged per color. So instead of paying per color or per screen, you more so pay for the amount of ink that you use. So a bigger design with DTG is going to cost more, and a smaller design is going to cost less. And because they're not setting up individual screens slash stencils like with screen printing, DTG essentially has no setup. All they have to do is punch it in the computer, optimize it however they need to do, slap the shirt on there, and then it prints. Because of that, you can order just one shirt. Most DTG places do not have a minimum, so you can sample as much as you want. This shirt that I'm currently wearing is DTG, and as you can see, it has a lot of color, a lot of detail in it. Can you achieve this with screen print? Yes, you can, but once again, you got to be going to the right person. It could cost a lot, possibly. There's a lot of different factors to it. And for the weaknesses of DTG, those are pretty much the opposites of the strengths of screen printing. So with DTG, it may not be the most cost-effective way to make a whole bunch of t-shirts. Some places, some print shops are going to have price breaks the higher that you go up. So say you order 20, it costs this much. You order 40, you get a discount. You order 100, you get another level of a discount, possibly. But those discounts are not going to be as much as screen printing, more than likely. The higher that you order when you screen print, they like it because you have your initial setup cost of making the screens. And at that point, you can use those screens as much as you want and just keep cranking it out. And the higher that you go up in volume, the bigger the discounts you're going to get on what you're getting printed. Another thing with DTG is the longevity. It can last long, and I know I keep bringing this up that it depends on who you go to and the technique that they're doing. But a lot of times DTG can get kind of ashy, kind of cracky. It also depends on the color of the shirt that it's getting printed on. For instance, this is a black shirt, as you can see, but you would have to print a white base layer on this so that the colors can pop really well. And the people that did this, they did a great job. I probably got this shirt made, I think I got this shirt made almost a year ago, and I've been wearing it ever since pretty regularly, and it hasn't worn down too crazy on me. Other than that, there aren't too many weaknesses with DTG, and if you want to, you can use DTG and screen print together. A lot of people use direct-to-garment just to make their samples, figure out the sizing of the graphic, where they want it placed. They could use that sample in marketing, and then when it comes time to place their bulk order, they may make the exact same shirt just using screen printing to lower the cost over the whole entire order. So, depending on your needs, you could use both to get what you need done. Now let's get on to embroidery, which is not printing at all. Embroidery is stitching thread into your garment to create an image. A pro to embroidery is kind of like this luxe feel. A lot of times with printing, people associate that with streetwear and not so much with high-end. Well, now times are changing. Like, everybody uses prints. But it's just something about embroidery. It just has this long-lasting, somewhat luxurious feel in the back of your head. Now, I don't want to say that the pros stop there. There's a lot of good stuff about embroidery. But to me specifically, there's a lot of things that make me kind of lean away from it, except for very specific projects. So with embroidery, you get charged by the thread count. Thread count, that's like how many times that machine is weaving the thread through your garment. So the bigger you go, the more expensive it gets. The more detail that you need in your design, the more expensive it gets. The more color you want in design, the more expensive it gets, because that's switching out the threads. And I could be glazing over it just a little bit and overly simplifying it, but embroidery to me is good for like really small details. Say for instance, you want to make a sweatsuit set, and on the top and the bottom you have like a 2-inch one color line logo. And for the sake of the example, let's use a Nike logo. That's just simple text, a nice little symbol on the bottom. You do a little hit on the chest on the top. You do another hit by the pocket on the pants. Nice, simple. That's the way I would do it. But that's just me. Look into it more. Embroidery could be perfect for you. And there's just so much more to it. I don't want to be the one to sway you away from it. But screen print DTG, that's going to be a good foundation if you're starting in streetwear. So that's going to be it for this video. I just want to touch on those different ways to brand blanks and give you a little bit of insight. So I appreciate everybody tuning in and checking out this video. The next one is actually going to be a part 3. I wasn't sure if I was going to need it, but after going over this, I wanted to talk about some of my favorite ways to brand blanks at home. And I'm going to show you all how I screen print and do direct-to-garment all at home with just a heat press. Y'all stay tuned. I'm going to check you on the next one.